Most people don't realize this, but the single biggest reason their life feels stuck is because their attention is everywhere, except on themselves. In today's world, your focus is under constant attack. Distractions are engineered, responsibilities pile up, and everyone seems to have a claim on your time, your energy, and even your sense of identity. You end up living on autopilot, always reacting, rarely creating. But here's the truth. If you don't make yourself the center of your priorities, you'll always be orbiting someone else's plan. What happens when you finally break that cycle? When you stop trying to please everyone else and start investing every ounce of your focus back into yourself? That's when transformation begins. That's when you become calm, clear, and unshakably powerful. Not because the world changed, but because you did. This video isn't about selfishness. It's about sovereignty, about learning to protect your time, elevate your standards, and live with intention. If you're ready to stop being a resource for others and start becoming a force of your own, you're in the right place. Welcome to Stoic Wisdom Path, where we turn timeless Stoic principles into real-world strength. If you're ready to reclaim control and reshape your reality, type in the comments, "I choose my path." Now, let's begin. Number 1. Why you must prioritize yourself. Stoic wisdom teaches us one timeless principle. Self-respect begins the moment you stop living for the applause of others. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and revered Stoic, once wrote that a man's worth is determined by the things he pursues. So ask yourself honestly, are your pursuits truly your own? Or are they borrowed from what your parents expected, what your peers admire, or what society rewards? Too many people live like actors in someone else's play, constantly adjusting their lines to fit a script they didn't write. They spend years grinding in jobs that slowly kill their spirit, buying things to impress people whose opinions don't matter, and saying yes when their soul is screaming no. It's a quiet form of slavery, and the chains are made of fear, guilt, and the hunger to belong. But here's the uncomfortable truth. No one is coming to rescue you. The world isn't built to prioritize your dreams. If you don't take ownership of your time, your energy, and your direction, someone else gladly will. And they won't think twice about using you until you're empty. Now, this isn't a call to selfishness. It's a call to self-mastery. True strength isn't about pushing others down. It's about refusing to abandon yourself. When you learn to put your needs, your growth, and your inner peace first, something powerful happens. You stop living in reaction to others. You stop chasing people who give you crumbs. You stop being controlled by guilt or the fear of rejection. Instead, you become centered, grounded, someone with boundaries, purpose, and quiet confidence. That's when real respect begins. Because when you finally respect yourself, the world can't help but follow. So ask yourself this, with brutal honesty: whose life are you really living? Are you the author of your own story? Or just another background character in someone else's? If this resonates with you, comment below, "I choose myself." Because if you don't, no one else will. Number 2. The illusion of control. Let's break a lie that's been quietly controlling most people their entire lives. The belief that you can manage how others perceive you. The idea that with the right words, the right image, or the right actions, you can earn approval, avoid criticism, and finally feel accepted. But the Stoics knew better. They understood that this kind of control is nothing more than a well-crafted illusion, and falling for it will keep you trapped in a life that's not your own. Here's the raw truth. No matter how hard you try, someone will always find a reason to misunderstand you. If you succeed, some will resent you. If you fail, others will mock you. If you're generous, they'll call you weak. If you're assertive, they'll call you arrogant. You simply can't win a game where the rules are written by people who don't even know you. The philosopher Epictetus taught that the only things truly under our control are our thoughts, our actions, and how we respond to the world around us. Yet most people spend their lives obsessing over what they cannot control: opinions, gossip, assumptions. They trade their inner peace for temporary approval, constantly shape-shifting to fit in. But let's look beneath the surface. Why is external validation so addictive? Because deep down, many people are disconnected from themselves. They don't trust their own voice, so they borrow opinions. They don't feel enough, so they chase affirmation. But the more you seek to be accepted by everyone, the more you abandon your own identity, and with it, your power. True strength begins the moment you stop asking for permission to be yourself. When you detach from needing applause, guilt no longer moves you. Social pressure no longer controls you. And suddenly, you gain something rare: authentic confidence. The kind that can't be faked. The kind that doesn't flinch under judgment. And here's the paradox. When you stop needing validation, people start noticing you in a different way. Your presence changes. Your silence holds more weight than their noise. You become someone who leads without trying to impress. Someone who walks through the world without seeking approval. And that is power most people can't even comprehend. So next time you feel that familiar urge to please, to explain, or to be liked, pause and ask yourself, who are you performing for? And why does their opinion hold so much power over you? Their views won't shape your destiny. Their validation won't give you peace. That's your responsibility, and yours alone. If you're ready to step out of the cage of approval and into the freedom of self-mastery, type in the comments, "My mind belongs to me." Because once you believe that, no one can take your power. Number 3, dark psychology. How people manipulate your focus. Most people go through life believing they're in charge of their own choices. They think their priorities, emotions, and daily actions come from a place of autonomy. But the truth is far more unsettling. Beneath the surface, many are being subtly influenced, nudged, manipulated, and drained, without even realizing it. This isn't just coincidence. This is dark psychology at work. We live in a world designed to fracture your focus. It's filled with people and systems that benefit when your attention is scattered, when you're too exhausted to think critically, too distracted to pursue your own growth, and too emotionally tangled to walk away. Friends might use guilt. Employers might exploit your work ethic. Social platforms are engineered to keep your eyes glued and your mind numb. Why? Because a distracted mind is easy to control. Let's go deeper. Here are 3 of the most common psychological tactics people use to manipulate your attention and block your progress. First, emotional guilt traps. Ever notice how people suddenly become offended or distant the moment you start setting healthy boundaries? That's not by accident. It's a calculated move. They want you to feel guilty for putting yourself first, because as long as you feel bad, you'll stay compliant. But guilt only has power if you allow it. A Stoic mindset teaches us that emotions, especially guilt and shame, are tools often used by others to control your behavior. When you learn to stand firm and stop reacting to emotional bait, that control slips away. Second, the illusion of scarcity. Toxic individuals often convince you that walking away means losing everything. They'll imply that you'll regret leaving, that you'll be alone, or that you won't find better. But this is just another psychological smokescreen. In reality, those who manipulate your sense of worth often need you more than you ever needed them. They create urgency and dependence because they fear your independence. Once you recognize your own value and no longer fear letting go, you become immune to their influence. That's when you shift from being used to being untouchable. Third, the hijacking of your attention. Think about how much time is lost to petty drama, constant notifications, and meaningless conversations. Every second you spend in gossip, arguments, or trying to prove yourself to someone who doesn't care is a second stolen from your own development. And this is by design. Because the more reactive you are, the less reflective you become. The more distracted you are, the harder it is to build anything of value. The Stoics knew this well. Figures like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca wrote extensively about the sanctity of time and the strength that comes from guarding your inner world. Reclaiming your focus isn't just about productivity, it's about freedom. If you constantly feel pulled in 100 directions, manipulated by guilt, or chained by obligation, it's time to draw the line. Stop apologizing for putting yourself first. Stop explaining your decisions to those who only want to use them against you. Choose clarity over chaos. Choose solitude over noise. Choose strength over submission. If you're ready to take back your power and stop letting others steal your focus, type in the comments, "I refuse to be controlled." Because once you become immune to manipulation, you become truly free. Number 4, the power of emotional detachment. Why indifference is strength. Something extraordinary happens the moment you detach emotionally. You stop being a puppet. The world loses its grip on your reactions. People can no longer manipulate you with a glare, a comment, or a calculated silence. Their ability to stir your emotions, to throw you off balance, disappears. And in that silence, in that space between what happens and how you respond, you become truly powerful. This is the heart of Stoic wisdom, the strength to remain centered while everything else tries to pull you off course. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic emperors, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." It sounds simple, but internalizing it changes everything. Think about how many days have been ruined by someone else's mood, someone else's opinion, someone else's drama. How often have you lost your peace over things that were never within your control to begin with? Society is engineered to keep you reactive, to keep you outraged, to keep you emotionally invested in what doesn't matter, because a distracted, emotionally unstable person is easy to manipulate. But there's a hidden strength most never develop: indifference, not apathy, not coldness, but calm detachment. When you become indifferent to insults, to noise, to petty distractions, you become unshakable. That's because emotional detachment isn't weakness. It's clarity. It's knowing what deserves your attention and what doesn't. When you no longer respond to provocation, people don't know how to control you, and that frustrates them. They try harder to get a rise out of you. But when you stay composed, you rise above them, and they feel it. Here's the paradox. The less emotionally reactive you are, the more authority you command. Not over others, but over yourself. And that's the only power that truly lasts. Detachment gives you freedom. Freedom from approval. Freedom from overthinking. Freedom from the exhausting cycle of caring about every opinion, every insult, every outcome. To live this way, You must train your mind to value only what truly matters. Stop seeking validation from others. Their praise and criticism hold no power unless you give it to them. Stop obsessing over results. You can control your actions, not the outcomes. And when negativity comes your way, let it pass through you like wind over stone. Still, calm, unmoved. Emotional detachment does not mean you're numb. It means you've learned to protect your peace. It means you no longer hand over your mood, your focus, or your purpose to people who haven't earned it. That is strength. That is self-mastery. So the next time someone tries to trigger you, remember this. Your silence is power. Your calmness is control. Your indifference is armor. If you're ready to protect your peace and own your inner strength, comment below. I control my mind. Because once you do, no one, not chaos, not criticism, not even betrayal, can ever shake you again. Number 5. The Stoic Art of Self-Mastery Discipline, over distraction. In today's world, the real chains aren't made of iron. They're made of distraction. Most people aren't controlled by tyrants or governments. They're controlled by their own impulses. They wake up and reach for their phone before they even take a breath. They scroll endlessly, numbing their mind with useless content. They chase instant gratification, avoid anything uncomfortable, and then wonder why they feel stuck, weak, and directionless. But a Stoic knows better. A Stoic understands that the path to personal freedom begins with inner discipline. Seneca once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And those words are more relevant now than ever. Because if you can't command your own thoughts, your habits, or your desires, you're not living in freedom. You're living in quiet submission. In an age where everything is designed to hijack your attention, from dopamine-charged apps to 24/7 entertainment, the ability to focus is more than a skill. It's a superpower. A distracted person is easy to manipulate, easy to sell to, easy to control. That's why the system encourages passive consumption. It doesn't want you sharp. It wants you sedated. True power isn't about how much you own or how loud your voice is. It's about how much control you have over yourself. Can you resist the urge to react emotionally? Can you focus when the world wants you to drift? Can you stay committed when no one is watching? The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, they understood this. They weren't chasing shallow pleasures or endless comfort. They were building fortresses within, fortresses that couldn't be shaken by criticism, failure, or fortune. So how do you follow their path? You train your mind like a warrior trains his body. You learn to resist the easy path. Every time you choose discomfort over convenience, every time you say no to distraction and yes to focus, you're becoming stronger. You simplify your life, cutting out the noise, the toxic inputs, the endless scrolling that steals your attention and leaves you hollow. Discipline isn't about being rigid or joyless. It's about living with intention. It's knowing that time is your most precious currency and refusing to waste it on anything that doesn't push you forward. It's moving when others hesitate, executing when others plan endlessly, showing up consistently even when no one claps. And most importantly, it's detaching from outcomes. Because true discipline isn't about chasing a perfect result. It's about becoming the kind of person who shows up day after day, no matter what. The process is the victory. So ask yourself, are you shaping your life? Or are you being shaped by everything around you? Are you the master of your mind or its prisoner? If you're ready to break the chains of distraction and live with power, comment below. I choose discipline over comfort. Because the moment you commit to mastering yourself, your life begins to transform. Quietly, relentlessly, permanently. Number 6. Silence and solitude. How they make you unstoppable. Silence terrifies most people. Not because it's empty, but because it reveals too much. In the absence of noise, they're forced to confront their own thoughts, and for many, that's unbearable. So they fill every moment with distractions, notifications buzzing, conversations that lead nowhere, entertainment that numbs instead of nourishes. But beneath it all is a quiet truth. Most people fear being alone because they've never learned how to be complete without the world's attention. A Stoic, however, sees silence not as something to avoid, but something to seek. Solitude is not loneliness. It's refinement. It's where clarity is born, where the mind strengthens, and where you begin to separate what is essential from what is noise. When the world is constantly pulling you outward, solitude is what brings you back to yourself. Even the most powerful understood this. Marcus Aurelius ruled over an empire, yet he still made time to retreat into the privacy of his own thoughts, writing, reflecting, sharpening his mind in silence. Seneca, too, emphasized the value of isolation, not as a withdrawal from life, but as a deliberate step toward inner mastery. Because the truth is this: you cannot lead others, you cannot rise, and you cannot truly grow until you've faced yourself, alone, without distractions. In solitude, your mind becomes clearer. The fog of other people's opinions begins to lift. You start to see what matters, what drains you, and what drives you. Without the constant noise, your emotions stabilize. No one is there to provoke you. No one is steering your mood. And in that space, you begin to build real strength, the kind that doesn't need applause, agreement, or attention. The man who can sit in stillness, who doesn't panic in silence, who doesn't need the world to validate him, that man is dangerous. Because he is whole, because he cannot be easily swayed, manipulated, or broken. The world will tell you that constant interaction is healthy, that solitude is a sign of weakness or sadness. But think, who benefits when you are never alone? Who profits from a mind that's never quiet? A man who doesn't need to be entertained is a man who cannot be distracted. And a man who cannot be distracted is a man who cannot be controlled. The greatest transformations don't happen in the spotlight. They happen in silence, in quiet hours, in moments of isolation. That's where legends are forged, not by noise, but by inner work. When you embrace solitude, you discover that your mind isn't a place to escape from. It's the strongest fortress you can ever build. So the next time the world tries to convince you to avoid being alone, remember this: a man who thrives in solitude holds a power that most can't even comprehend. He listens more, speaks less, moves with intention. And when he does act, the world notices. If this speaks to something deep within you, type in the comments, "I thrive in silence." Because once you embrace stillness, you stop being a follower of the world and start becoming the master of yourself. Number 7. Why cutting people off is sometimes necessary. Not every person you meet is meant to walk with you forever. Some people come into your life as lessons, not lifelines. They're not here to build you. They're here to test your strength, your patience, and your self-respect. While you grow, they stay stagnant. While you strive for clarity and peace, they pull you back into chaos, confusion, and emotional debt. You have to understand this. Some people act like anchors. They weigh you down with constant drama, guilt, or toxic habits. Others are distractions, filling your days with small talk, fake support, and veiled resentment. And then there are those who simply feed off you, emotionally, mentally, energetically. They drain your spirit while giving nothing meaningful in return. And still, many people hold on out of fear of being alone, fear of confrontation, or fear of being judged as selfish. But here's what a Stoic knows. Personal evolution demands hard choices. Seneca once advised that we should associate with those who will make us better. The implication is clear. If someone isn't elevating your life, they're quietly holding it back. Detachment isn't coldness, it's wisdom. It's the understanding that not everyone is meant to follow you into the next chapter of your life. So how do you know when it's time to walk away? Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you feel drained or energized, at peace or on edge? People who constantly bring stress, criticism, and negativity aren't companions. They're obstacles. The ones who belittle your dreams, question your boundaries, or guilt-trip you for putting yourself first, they are not your tribe. True friends support your evolution, not resist it. Real allies want to see you rise, not remain stuck. Cutting someone off isn't an act of hatred. It's an act of self-respect. It means you're choosing to protect your mental space, your emotional energy, and your future. It means you've outgrown small talk, manipulative games, and relationships built on obligation rather than alignment. And yes, it's hard. But staying in the wrong connections is even harder, because every day spent with the wrong people delays your journey toward the right ones. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you finally let go of what drains you, you make space for what fulfills you. Better connections, higher standards, clearer minds. But that transformation only happens when you stop clinging to relationships that no longer serve your growth. So ask yourself honestly, who in your life has become more of a weight than a wing? Who causes you to shrink when you should be expanding? And most importantly, do you have the courage to release them without bitterness, without guilt, and without hesitation? If your answer is yes, then say it with intention. I release what no longer serves me. Because once you make peace with that choice, you stop living for others and start living in your power. Number 8, the unshakable mindset. True confidence comes from within. Confidence isn't something you inherit, it's something you earn. And yet, most people go through life believing that confidence is tied to how much they have, how they look, or how others perceive them. They chase external validation, thinking status, praise, or attention will finally make them feel whole. But the truth is, that kind of confidence is fragile. It's temporary. And when the applause fades, so does their sense of worth. A Stoic sees through that illusion. True confidence doesn't come from outside. It's forged from within. It doesn't waver when someone disapproves. It doesn't collapse in the face of failure. Because it's not based on likes, followers, or fleeting praise. It's rooted in something far deeper: self-respect, discipline, and the unshakable belief that you can endure whatever life throws at you. Why do so many people fall apart under pressure? Because they've built their identity on things they can't control. One harsh comment, and they break. One rejection, and their self-worth disappears. Their so-called confidence was only a mask, something they wore to feel safe, not something they developed through inner strength. The unshakable mind is different. It isn't loud. It isn't desperate to prove anything. It's quiet, focused, grounded, built slowly through challenges, refined by hardship, and strengthened by choosing discipline over comfort. When you cultivate that kind of inner power, the opinions of others lose their grip on you. Failure doesn't destroy you, it teaches you. Rejection doesn't define you, it redirects you. So how do you develop that kind of confidence? Start by letting go of your need to be validated. Stop depending on others to confirm your worth. A Stoic validates himself through action and integrity, not through applause. Learn to welcome discomfort. Every time you face difficulty and push through it, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than your fears. That's real confidence. Control your reactions. Anyone can be confident when things go their way, but the ones who stay composed under fire, those are the ones who command respect. Carry yourself with quiet conviction. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. You don't need to announce your value. True strength speaks for itself. Confidence isn't about shouting, it's about presence. The kind of presence that comes from knowing exactly who you are and refusing to let the world shake it. Look closely at the people around you. Most are trying to be seen, trying to be liked, trying to be enough. But here's the secret. They're chasing something that can only be built internally. The moment you stop needing approval, you become powerful. And ironically, when you no longer seek it, others start to admire you more. Because self-respect is magnetic. Confidence is contagious, but only when it's real. You don't have to be better than anyone else. You only have to be better than the version of you that settles for less. Focus on your growth, walk your path, and let go of comparison. It's a thief of peace. You don't need to compete when you already know your worth. If you're ready to step into that mindset, to build the kind of confidence that no failure, no judgment, no circumstance can take away, then say it with intention. I am enough as I am. Because once you truly believe that, no one can ever make you feel small again. Number 9. Final Stoic truth. The path to ultimate freedom. When everything is stripped away, the noise, the status, the opinions, what we're all truly seeking is one thing: freedom. Not the illusion of freedom wrapped in luxury or applause, but real, lasting freedom. The freedom to think independently, the freedom to act without fear, the freedom to govern your own emotions, your own reactions, and your own path without being ruled by outside forces. But the harsh reality is, most people will never know this kind of freedom. They live their lives on autopilot, trapped in cycles of approval seeking, clinging to relationships that drain them, constantly shaped by opinions that aren't even theirs. They fill their days with distraction, their minds with doubt, and their hearts with regret. And by the time they wake up, they've already given the best years of their life away. But you don't have to follow that script. You can make a different choice. You can stop living reactively. You can reclaim your focus, cut off what weakens you, and build a life rooted in intention. You can learn what the Stoics knew, that true freedom isn't found in escaping the world, but in mastering yourself. When you control your mind, you control your world. When you stop allowing fear, guilt, or opinion to dictate your direction, you step into a new realm of power, a quiet, grounded, unshakable kind of power. This is the final truth of Stoicism. Freedom is not given, it's earned. And it is earned through self-mastery, not by acquiring more, but by needing less, not by controlling others, but by commanding yourself. When you stop being moved by the noise of the world, when you walk through chaos with composure and clarity, that is when you become truly untouchable. Think about what would change if you no longer cared about what doesn't serve you. How much time would you reclaim? How much energy would you preserve? How many dreams could you finally pursue without permission or apology? You are not here to live a life of quiet desperation. You are not here to be reactive, fragile, or dependent. You are here to build a mind that nothing can shake. And if you've made it to this point, you're not like most people. You're ready for more. So let this be the beginning, not just of knowledge, but of action. Declare it now. Say it with clarity and conviction. I am the master of my fate. Make that your standard. Make that your daily reminder. And if you're serious about walking this path, about building unbreakable discipline, cutting through distractions, and reclaiming full control of your mind and your life, then stay with us. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. Engage with every lesson. Because this isn't just a video, it's a mission. Your mission. Remember, freedom begins the moment you stop giving power to what weakens you and start giving it to yourself. True freedom isn't about wealth or status. It's about mastering your mind, letting go of what doesn't serve you, and walking your own path with clarity and strength. In this video, we uncover the final Stoic truth that will help you reclaim your focus and live on your own terms. Thank you for watching. If this message spoke to you, drop a comment below. I am the master of my fate. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. This journey has just begun.